Welcome, honorable viewers, to a dark chapter where the great empire tore itself apart completely. Flames devour majestic tents as Mongol swords clash against Mongol shields in the cold winter snow. This is no war against foreign kings, but brutal civil war between the grandsons of Genghis Khan. Ariq defends the wild nomadic soul, while Kublai envisions a settled empire ruling the world. Whose vision will survive the conflict? Join us to uncover the tragic Toluid Civil War today. Genghis Khan forged a massive empire, riding across the vast plains under the eternal blue sky. His strict Yasa code bound the tribes together, demanding absolute loyalty and fierce discipline. The nomadic spirit was their greatest weapon, striking fear into the hearts of all who faced them. Deep in the harsh and freezing heart of the steppes, the ancient capital of Karakorum stood proud. Here, Ariq Böke called the Great Kurultai, claiming the supreme title of the one true Great Khan. He swore a sacred oath to protect the ancient nomadic lifestyle of his noble ancestors. Ariq firmly believed that the fierce warrior bloodline was the true core of their endless power. He declared that Mongols could only remain invincible if they stayed true to their savage roots. The traditional tribal leaders rallied behind him, raising their horsehair banners high in the air. They celebrated around massive campfires, drinking fermented mare milk and singing ancient war songs. Ancient Persian chronicles record this gathering as a powerful display of nomadic pride. The warriors of the steppe prepared their deadly bows, ready to crush any traitors to the blood. They saw the growing settlements in the south as a dangerous betrayal of Genghis Khan's grand dream. To them, a true Mongol lived in a yurt, moved with the seasons, and conquered the weak enemies. Ariq Böke stood as the ultimate guardian of this untamed heritage in the frozen north. His authority seemed absolute in the homeland, commanding the loyalty of countless brave troops. But the empire had grown too vast, stretching far beyond the familiar grass of the grazing lands. The wealth of conquered nations began to slowly corrupt the simple ways of the horseback warriors. In the southern domains, a new reality was taking shape under a visionary leader. Kublai Khan, a man of profound intellect and endless ambition, observed the changing global tides. He recognized that brute force alone was simply not enough to maintain a lasting global empire. Historical records state that Kublai spent years studying the complex cultures of the conquered. He famously realized that you can win an empire on horseback, but you cannot govern from there. At his new capital of Kaiping, Kublai hosted a rival council to claim the massive throne.
The great Yuan dynasty begins today.
This defiant act shattered the Mongol leadership, creating two rival supreme emperors. Unlike his brother, Kublai surrounded himself with Han Chinese scholars and brilliant strategists. He understood that a vast empire required a structured bureaucracy and stable economy. He imposed farm taxes, building granaries to support a massive, permanent army. This new military machine joined cavalry with heavy infantry and skilled siege engineers. If you were forced to choose, would you abandon your sacred traditions to rule a changing world? Think carefully, because this deep, profound divide meant that war between the brothers was certain. Kublai's forces were incredibly well-funded, drawing resources from the wealthy southern plains. His soldiers marched in disciplined formations, wielding long spears and massive wooden shields. They possessed terrifying siege weapons, able to shatter any defensive walls in their path. Ariq Böke viewed these modern innovations as a vile weakness and a betrayal of their blood. He believed that the swift and deadly strikes of his nomadic archers would easily crush the south. The profound clash finally erupted into the devastating Toluid Civil War we know. In the dark winter of 1261, the massive armies finally met on the battlefield. Ariq Böke led the charge himself, riding fiercely through the heavy snow with his loyal riders. The thunderous sound of thousands of hooves echoed across the desolate and frozen northern plains. As they crashed into Kublai's vanguard, the ancient nomadic tactics completely fell apart. Kublai's commanders, knowing the Mongol strategies perfectly, deployed heavily armored spearmen. The swift cavalry charges were abruptly halted by an iron wall of mighty sharp wooden spikes. Flaming projectiles from Chinese siege engines rained down upon the confused and trapped horsemen. The unbeaten Mongol cavalry found themselves completely paralyzed by their own brilliant tactics. Brothers fought against brothers, their curved swords clashing in a desperate dance of tragic fate. Crimson marked the pure white snow as the finest warriors of the steppes vanquished one another. Ariq fought like a trapped wolf, his armor broken and his face covered in freezing mud and grim wounds. He watched in pure agony as his loyal tribal warriors were ruthlessly overwhelmed. Meanwhile, Kublai observed the chaotic struggle from a distant hill, his expression cold and stern. He felt no joy in this grim victory, only the burden of a new imperial destiny. The first major engagements ended in a devastating stalemate, leaving countless fallen on both sides. Ariq was forced to retreat north, his forces deeply depleted and their morale completely shattered. He tried to rally the remaining tribes, promising them glorious vengeance and enormous riches. But the harsh reality of prolonged warfare began to exhaust the resources of the nomads. Unlike the wealthy south, the barren steppes could not easily replace lost men or broken weapons. Records reveal that Kublai shifted his strategy from direct combat to economic warfare. He knew an army marches on its stomach, and the northern capital was highly vulnerable. Kublai ordered a strict blockade of all vital trade routes leading to the city of Karakorum. He cut off their crucial grain supplies, relying on starvation to accomplish what swords could not. This tactic showed the enormous power of an agrarian settled civilization. Imagine fighting your own family. Could you order a blockade that would starve your own brothers? The harsh winter of 1263 struck the northern steppes with unprecedented deadly fury. Without southern grain, the nomadic herds quickly perished beneath the thick layers of freezing snow. Famine spread rapidly through Ariq's camps, breaking the iron will of his most loyal commanders. The proud warriors, who once conquered half the known world, were now reduced to eating their horses. Disease and freezing temperatures claimed thousands of lives, turning the capital into a graveyard. Ariq Böke watched his grand vision slowly fade away, powerless against the forces of nature. Desperate to survive, former allies began to defect to the wealthy southern emperor. The ancient tribal structure was collapsing from within, starved of resources and military hope. Kublai's powerful armies slowly advanced northward, meeting almost no resistance from the weak. The grand tents of Karakorum, once the vibrant center of the world, now stood silent and empty. By 1264, Ariq knew that prolonging the struggle would only destroy his precious people. Stripped of his majestic armor and his royal pride, he rode to Kaiping to face his victor brother. The fierce nomad defender was forced to fall to his knees, offering unconditional surrender. It was a moment of profound sorrow, marking the absolute end of pure nomadic dominance. Kublai spared his brother's life, but imprisoned him, ensuring he could never challenge the throne. Ariq Böke died soon after, his spirit broken by the collapse of the world he tried to protect. With his victory, Kublai Khan became the supreme ruler, founding the mighty Yuan dynasty. He skillfully merged military might with wealthy power, changing global history forever. Yet the brutal Toluid Civil War left permanent, deep wounds on the mighty Mongol Empire's soul. The myth of absolute Mongol unity was shattered, replacing brotherhood with deep suspicion. The vast empire fractured into 4 separate Khanates, each pursuing its own unique destiny. The Golden Horde, the Ilkhanate, and the Chagatai Khanate drifted away from Kublai's direct rule. Kublai had won the war, but he lost the absolute loyalty of the ancient nomadic world. His empire grew rich and prosperous, yet it was far different from the visions of his ancestors. The fierce horseback warriors slowly assimilated into the complex, settled cultures they conquered. The fierce clash between tradition and innovation is a timeless lesson among fallen empires. Ariq fought bravely for the past, but Kublai ruthlessly secured the future through adaptation. Today, Karakorum's ruins stand as a silent testament to the tragic cost of this dark sibling war. The wind howling across the empty steppes still carries the echoes of their devastating conflict. It reminds us that even mighty dynasties can be destroyed by their own internal division. The dark legacy of this war shaped the borders and cultures of Eurasia for centuries to come. The true survival of an empire depends not just on swords, but on its ability to evolve. Kublai's new capital became the magnificent center of global trade and endless royal wealth. Meanwhile, the ancient homeland slowly faded into the freezing shadows of forgotten history. The once fierce nomadic warriors were transformed into permanent imperial garrison troops. They traded their worn leather armor for luxurious silk robes and comfortable stone mansions. The terrifying sound of galloping hooves was replaced by the quiet rustling of paper scrolls. The Mongol war machine was no longer a swift storm, but a heavy and immovable iron wall. But in the deep north, some stubborn tribes refused to accept this humiliating assimilation. They kept the sacred memory of Ariq Böke alive, whispering his name around secret fires. These traditionalists continued to roam the wild steppes, preserving the ancient ways of life. However, without the central authority, they could never again threaten the settled empires. The Great Pax Mongolica facilitated trade across the vast Eurasian continent. Marco Polo and foreign merchants traveled safely along the legendary Silk Road pathways. This amazing era of global exchange was built upon the ashes of a tragic civil war. Kublai's decision to embrace the bureaucracy brought economic wealth for many decades. Yet it destroyed the unique nomadic purity that originally made them so powerful. Later Mongol rulers of the Yuan dynasty slowly lost their connection to the grassy plains. They became entirely absorbed by the sophisticated culture of the people they had conquered. Less than a century later, a massive peasant rebellion drove them right out of the rich south. The remnants of the imperial forces were forced to desperately flee back to the freezing steppes. They returned to the very same barren landscapes that Ariq Böke had fiercely fought to protect. History often presents these cruel, ironic paradoxes of human ambition. To survive and govern, the conquerors must eventually become like the conquered ones. The tragic fall of Ariq Böke represents the bitter end of a dying historic era. Kublai's glorious triumph stands as a cold reminder that pragmatism always defeats tradition. We must closely examine this conflict to understand the fragile nature of all global empires. Genghis Khan's united world was fundamentally destroyed from within, not by any foreign swords. The flames of Karakorum finally faded, but their historic impact burns brightly today. The Mongol Empire was forever shattered. Do you think Kublai Khan was a visionary savior? Or was he a ruthless traitor who destroyed his grandfather's dream? Please share your thoughts below. If you enjoyed this historic journey, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more.